On the program today, experts warn of imminent collapse of Nigeria's aviation sector. Sirica shows aggrieved Aero Contractors workers of government intervention. Plus, inaugural commercial flight from United States of America lands in Cuba. Hello and welcome to your number one aviation program, Flight 101. I'm Lillian Ezemak. Flight time is 30 minutes. Fasten your seatbelt, relax. Let's enjoy the cruise. An aviation analyst, Simon Tumba, has sounded a note of warning that unless help comes fast, Nigerian airlines may close shop earlier than expected. He said that the airline's fleet size is shrinking by the day and the federal government is not considering another bailout fund to resuscitate their operations 8 years after giving them more than $475 million. Tumba met this noon in Lagos. Nigerian Airlines' short lifespan are characterized by inadequate funding, bad business plan and technical failure, which has led to air crashes. Others include Naira's unstable value, scarcity of foreign exchange, lack of maintenance facility and high cost of aviation fuel. Other factors that have held the airline's growth down for decades include lack of proper economic regulations. This veteran pilot blames Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority for falling below expectations.
It was just recent that the NCAA made it mandatory that if you have less than 3 aeroplanes, you cannot start a scheduled operation. Or technically, if you have less than two, then you can't really fly any schedule. And failure of our sustainable system of aviation is at the door of the regulator. And I say that because from 2006, there was the Civil Aviation Act. And subsequently, the regulator became autonomous, which means the regulator is not controlled by the minister, but only subject to the Senate, which is our highest regulatory body. Now, with that, they should be able to, without any inhibition, fear or favor or reprisals or political interference, carry on their oversight function.
It's about knowing their financial health status, and it's being done regularly. And we have those informations. But NCA does not exist to regulate operators out of existence. We equally assist the airline to be in business and make profit. Merger has been suggested here and there in the industry. You cannot merge airlines as it is done in the banks. You are talking of individual come up with their airline. It can only be suggested. Because these are individuals that are putting their money in their investment. It has to be a combination of two allied people who share the same vision.
The airlines are passing through severe financial turbulence, and their last ray of hope for bank funding seems to be fading as the conditions continue to get stiffer. Industry and financial sources say airlines owe banks and government as much as $2 billion.
And unfortunately, the banking industry in Nigeria does not give you long-term funds at single-digit rates compared to their competitors in Europe or maybe even some parts of Africa that you can get loans in maybe in less than 8 or 7%. Here an average interest rate is, with all the additions, getting close to 30%. So how can you make a profit when this is a long-term business, not a short-term business? It's a long-term business and you're competing with a lot of people that have a lot of money, especially if you are into long-haul routes like Medview or Arik. You are competing with the BAs, with the Qatar Airways, with the Emirates and whatever.
Nigeria's foremost airline, Aero Contractors and First Nation, have suspended scheduled operations. They cited harsh operating environment as part of the reasons for their actions. Industry experts have projected that by the end of 2017, only 3 Nigerian airlines will be operating scheduled passenger service, which means that 2 more airlines may stop operations after Aero Contractors. A few years ago, the airline industry in Nigeria saw explosive growth that included names such as Aero, Chanchagi, and Ares competing with new players such as Arik, Dana, and Virgin Nigeria. Chanchagi, Ares, and Virgin Nigeria have all gone into extinction. A spate of crashes had stifled airlines in the past. It was also one of the reasons for the death of many Nigerian airlines in the past 20 years. The airlines include Bellevue, Sosoliso, ADC, EAS, and Okada, among others. Helicopter operators whose main customers are oil firms are finding it extremely hard to remain in business. At least 600 commercial pilot certificate holders are without jobs, owing to dwindling number of airlines in the country. Industry experts are of the opinion that the government can play a significant role in getting airlines out of the woods.
But now the EU is saying, now we don't want commercial agreements anymore. Everything has to be restricted on bilaterals or multilaterals. So what government can do is say, okay, Lufthansa, you want extra flights into maybe Lagos, into Lagos or Abuja, Port Harcourt, fine. What we want you to do is to have an arrangement with a Nigerian carrier. We are not going to give you extra flights into Nigeria except you have a concrete arrangement with either Medview or Bellevue, or Medview, or Arik or Dana or something. So they go into a kind of agreement. So now it is left for Medview, it is left for Arik to make sure that their standard is at least reasonable to the extent that Lufthansa is willing to have an agreement with them, so that each passenger they carry, they can share the money.
As catalysts to economic development, industry analysts are of the view that without scheduled air services, the nation's economy will crumble. So government should not continue to feel unconcerned about the problems of the aviation sector because it affects all facets of the national economy. Meanwhile, Director General Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority Musa Usman has dismissed claims that some airlines are winding down their operations. On the contrary, he said that the airlines are merely suspending their operations temporarily to enable them undertake certain operational overhaul and strengthen their overall operational outlay.
The NCAA boss explained that Aero Contractors at present has only one serviceable aircraft, which contradicts the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations. The regulation stipulates that no airline operator shall carry out scheduled commercial operation with only one aircraft. The minimum acceptable number is 3 aircraft. Such an airline cannot be adjudged to be capable of providing safe operations. NCAA's regulations also provides a window for such operator to embark on non-scheduled operations in the interim. First Nation Airlines, on its part, is in the middle of an engine replacement program for one of its aircraft. Another aircraft is due for mandatory maintenance as it's allowable for the regulatory authority. In the circumstance, both airlines cannot continue to undertake scheduled operations, hence the recourse for self-regulatory suspension.
Minister of State Aviation Hadi Sirika has waded into the industrial dispute between Aero Contractors and its members of staff. Sirika promised to return with a feedback for them after meeting with AMCON, Aero Management, and other critical stakeholders. The minister stated this in Lagos at the headquarters of Aero Contractors Airlines.
Aero must move, AMCON must go. Solidarity forever.
The major reason why the protest is being organized is to ensure that the public is being sensitized, and all the way through the Ministry of Aviation, Ministry of Labor, and the federal government, they have to be alerted and be informed of what is going on, because indirectly they are connected, because it's AMCON that owns the larger percentage of the shares in Aero Contractors.
Since we have not been given dismissal letters, that we are still employees of Aero Contractors. And so we are ready to even come to work. We are ready to go into the premises and do our work. But unfortunately we came and we saw that all the gates have been locked. And so we have no option. Some of our members are inside, and they've been inside here for over going to 3 days now. And so we have to be here to show solidarity with them and to let the world, just as my colleague has told you earlier, to let the world know what is happening.
The minister said that he would look into the workers' demand and come out with solutions that are mutually beneficial to the staff, management and the government. He added that the primary purpose of the government is to encourage existing business and to provide jobs for the populace.
The primary purpose of government, especially this one in the APC, is to help to promote, nurse, sustain, develop, keep businesses so that they can continue to provide service and continue to employ our people. So it is not the government of APC that will kill jobs and close down shops. Our intent is to promote jobs and promote businesses in Nigeria so that the economy can come back up. I think the protest is founded, is justifiable. I agree with the issues, but we will look into it and come out with a solution that is going to be mutually beneficial for all of us, both the staff, the company and government itself.
The workers, who said they consider the minister's visit as a show of solidarity, also granted his request to suspend the demonstration.
Now international stories. The first regular commercial flights in more than 50 years from the United States landed in Cuba as the two nations took the latest steps in their effort to boost ties.
JetBlue Flight 387 landed in the central Cuban city of Santa Clara about an hour after leaving Fort Lauderdale in southeastern Florida with 150 passengers on board.
So proud to have just landed on the very first commercial flight between the United States and Cuba in over 50 years.
The plane was greeted with a water cannon salute, an aviation tradition in which aircraft pass under arcs of water before flying to their destinations for the first time. Its departure from Florida was celebrated the same way. The first two passengers of the plane carried U.S. and Cuban flags as they descended the stairs onto the tarmac, where they symbolically exchanged the banners in a sign of friendship.
Well, it's, literally you're having families reconnecting. And you, over time, will see school folks and colleges and universities creating exchanges. You will see musicians and actors and the cultural ties being stronger between these two countries. And frankly, when people get more exposure to the American public, it really helps on a lot of levels. Folks want different things economically, they want different things politically. And we see it as a long-term advancement of our relationship, both governmentally as well as culturally.
The plane was scheduled to complete the round trip later in the day, returning to Fort Lauderdale. The flight was the first of 110 expected daily trips connecting U.S. cities to airports in the communist-run island, many of them in or near tourism hotspots. Regular air service was severed during the Cold War, and charter flights have been the only air link since. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry hailed the watershed. Air travel between the United States and Cuba has been restricted to charter flights since 1979. Washington and Havana agreed in February to restore direct commercial flights, one of several watershed changes initiated in December 2014 when U.S. President Barack Obama and Cuba's Raul Castro announced a thaw after more than 50 years of hostility.
We've got spectacular air demonstrations in China and Fambro. The exhibitions are aimed to display the charisma of the Air Force and attract increasing number of young people interested in aviation.